we're going to see in under 5 minutes as a college student is destroyed when it comes to marriage and hookup culture. Let's get straight into the video. Let's watch it in full and then you'll get my thoughts at the end.
Well, I mean, that's good because
I can tell you why your lifestyle's wrong. You want to hear that?
yeah, okay, shoot.
Okay.
I'm not scared of you.
It's not a question of being scared of me. Remember, we're searching after truth.
Yeah.
All right, I'm convinced that you are hurting yourself and hurting women when you have sex outside of the context of a lifelong commitment. Why? Because I'm convinced that sexual intimacy is one of the greatest gifts that God has given us to form loyalty, trust, commitment. And when you have sex, that is communicating with your body. I give myself to you, totally. But the problem is, although you're doing that with your body, you're not doing that with your mind. Because what you're doing is you're leaving the loophole that says, I'm sorry, I'm not totally committing my mind, my personality, my being to you. I'm just making a quick commitment to my body to have sex with you. Therefore, when you rip apart the person, your body from your mind, you're ripping yourself apart in a way that's very unhealthy. It's destructive. Yes, I know that you have physical pleasure, but there is more to you than just your body, your person. And as a person, you can connect on an intimate level with a person. And that is why I'm concerned that you're hurting yourself and you're hurting your sex partners when you have sex outside of that lifelong commitment.
I mean, it really, I mean, for me, it doesn't have to be that complicated. Because if you have a man and a woman who aren't ready to get married yet because we're in college, it's impossible financially for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And one guy has sexual urges for a girl and is attracted to that girl, and that girl's attracted to that guy. And, you know, they have sex and they both agree that, you know, they don't want to be in a relationship. How does that hurt any one of them? Because he gets what he wants, because it's a natural desire.
Yes.
That we have, you know, it's better that it's fulfilled. You got to enjoy life, and it's very enjoyable. So what bad comes out of it? Like,
good, because you're not a machine. You're not a thrill-making device. At the root of your being, you're a human being with a mind, a personality. If you're just a machine, go ahead and hook up. But if you're more than a machine, then what you got to ask yourself is it wisest for me to give my entire being, mind, personality, and body to one person who we make a lifelong commitment to, or is it best for me simply to have an impersonal hookup in order to go through orgasm so I can have a physically pleasurable experience? And according to Christ and the Bible, and according to my observation as I work with prostitutes and pimps in different cities, and as I work now a little bit more with the child sex traffic trade, what you got to realize is you're not just a body. You're a body and a personality. And God gave us this gift of sex to enjoy with a person in a personal way, not just with an object that gives you physical gratification.
but you could definitely still have an emotional or spiritual connection with a girl before you're married. You can have
Yes.
a relationship.
Absolutely.
And okay, you could also do that with an open relationship too. You could be friends with a girl and you could still have like a spiritual and emotional connection to her.
Okay, but here's the point. Here's where the destruction comes in. You're right. You can have a relationship. And then when you have sex with that woman that you're building a relationship with, there is a bonding that occurs. That if you're thinking, it's getting deeper. Then if you break that bond and hop into bed with someone else and you're starting to build another bond with them, you keep on breaking like that and you're scarring. You're hurting. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting her. Because you begin to bond and then you break. You begin to bond and then you break. And it's like keeping on ripping open a...
Reminder, guys, if biblical truth is important to you, please hit that subscribe button.
Scab. You're breaking and it's hurting.
Man, I mean, I'm grateful for every relationship I've had. I'm sure like everybody else agrees that, I'm grateful for every single relationship I've had in the past. And yeah, it had to end, and that sucks. But you get over it, and life moves on. I think you can learn from the relationships you've had in the past, and they turn out being good things in the future.
Okay.
Because if you wait for one girl let's put it another way. I mean, yeah, okay, like I said, past relationships can be good things.
Okay, how do you feel if your mother's sleeping around with a bunch of different men?
I probably wouldn't like that, but
Why not?
I know she wouldn't do that, and I know my dad wouldn't cheat on her either.
Okay, why are you grateful for that?
Well, that's a really complicated question. I don't want to
Isn't it?
go off too much.
Really complicated.
But it creates, like you said, like eventually it does allow for, a greater bond, I do agree with you there, but that's later in their life. They got married when they're 30. I'm still 21. Like,
Yeah,
they
but
got
you're
married
still a
when they're
man.
30, and it's good because they are able to create a stronger emotional bond, and they're able to raise children better. It's more stable. It's a more stable system.
Yep. Good. Now, all of a sudden, I've been fooling around. My fiance's been fooling around with a lot of different sex partners. All of a sudden, we walk down an aisle and we say, I do. And all of a sudden, we're trying to build a trust relationship, a loyal relationship. But we both know the history of the other, that we really like to play the field. But now we're making a commitment to each other. And now we're trying to trust each other.
Yeah.
See the problem?
Well,
If my history is playing the field, what on earth gives her the confidence that I'm going to stop playing the field?
Well, me personally, I'm probably not going to go for a girl who I've known has played in the field a lot.
Whoa! Oh, baby, I like where this one's going. All right, explain that one.
Booyah.
So you can play the field, but she can't, right?
Oh, wow. The point that we ended on, Cliff just put the absolute pressure on this, bro. I think it's a fantastic conversation. I think it's a really important conversation, especially within the culture that we're in at the moment. Marriage versus hookup culture, marriage versus casual sexual partners. And this college student doesn't see any harm in it. But when Cliff starts pressing him about his mom and he asks the question, well, if your mom had multiple sexual partners, how would you feel about that? And straight away, he gets defensive and says, no, my mom would never do that. My mom would never do that to my dad. There is an absolute massive double standard when it comes to how we view sex based on where we are in life. The college student keeps reinforcing, well, I'm not ready for commitment. I don't have the finance in place. Because I think there is a lack of understanding of what God created as a holy act for two people to become one flesh. And the danger of multiple partners is you can pick up that baggage. Some schools of thought say that you have soul ties, which is almost like a spiritual imprint from each sexual partner that you have, and then you can carry that baggage and that emotion. And maybe there is a lot of truth in that, but I think this conversation really highlights where we are as a culture and how, unfortunately, the devil has distorted what God has created in a holy fashion. I think these conversations are really important, that we can expose the lie of hookup culture and to expose how it is detrimental to ourselves and to our communities. Cliff speaks about how he's working with sex workers, pimps. He's and how that in itself has opened his eyes to some of the abuse and some of the distortion that is happening within that world. We know that pornography and explicit content has been highly monetized, especially within the West, and there's been a lot more sanctions and things in place to protect younger minds. So, guys, I would love to hear your thoughts. Please like and subscribe because it just helps the channel in terms of growth, helps the channel to spread biblical truth. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.